Hey guys, and welcome to some more Star Citizen. With 2.6 on the horizon, I thought I'd get some quick preparation guides of some improvements, optimizations, and tips that you can do to get ready for 2.6 and to have a better Star Citizen experience for when it goes to the wider PTU and then onto the live build. I've linked to an article with all of the links and download locations discussed below. Feel free to skip over any parts that aren't relevant to you. PTU invites. So the PTU invites come in waves. You'll receive an email once the PTU access has been given to you based on what wave you're in, but they may also release it at some point to everyone via an announcement saying the PTU is like public PTU via the RSI website, possibly via email. With PTU builds, you do have to copy it over to your live account. So you do this via the Star Citizen launcher. You literally just click on copy account. Now remember, the PTU is extra buggy, and participation in the issue council, reporting bugs, contributing to what issues should be fixed, and reproducing bugs will get you earlier access to PTU waves in the future, and in some cases, if you are very, very participatory, will get you an invite to the Evocati early test flight group. It's normally around 30 gigabytes of space for a live build and for a test build individually. New flight balance. So the ship flight balance and weapons have all changed in 2.6. So you're going to have to learn to fly again, learn to fight again effectively. I'll chuck up a quick start guide, as it were, as soon as 2.6 is no longer on NDA. But basically, ship speeds have halved. Afterburner is used by pressing shift, and it will take your ship up to cruise speed, and basically cruise speeds have been merged into your standard flight model. So cruise speed as a selectable mode does no longer exist. You press shift to get up to the speed you want, and then release it, and that keeps you at that speed even while in combat. But it does cost you boost or afterburn fuel, which will be used while you're at those higher speeds. Now boost can be used simultaneously to afterburner, and boost overcharges your thrusters for extra maneuverability and is now with the X key. That's no longer a space break or anything like that. You can do both simultaneously, which you'll get to use when you do racing or combat for like high-speed maneuvers. Weapons have all changed too. You will want to grab the latest stats for them to help you out. I'll put some meta builds and stuff as soon as we're able to. But if you go to starcitizendb.com, as soon as that 2.6 PTU goes live, there should be Magalos there ripping all of the XML files and getting some good weapon stats down there as well. That is a very useful Star Citizen database. But forget everything that you know about dogfighting. You're going to have to learn to fly again. Star Marines in 2. Now, having your mouse and gamepad set up correctly with the right DPI and sensitivity has never been so important. We'll get breakdowns of the maps for the first-person shooter levels, Damien and Echo 11, like we've done previously with the Korea level. But something important to remember there is that if you're playing objective-based modes with Star Marine, which is what a lot of it is, it's a lot of point capture, make sure that you play to win. Play to capture those points. It's a team game. Team to win! Go team! Also, any Alpha UEC that you have earned or items that you've bought with Alpha UEC in the Persistent universe, this is basically mostly cosmetics and first-person shooter weapons. With the release of 2.6 live, will wipe everything, and obviously on the PTU, you won't have your items there. So it's not going to take you too long to grab enough Alpha UEC to buy them again. There might be some new items as well. You're going to have to do missions or scavenging in the Persistent universe to grab that Alpha UEC, but there are some new missions. There's the ICC line of missions, which has some more content, and a hidden one as well. There's also lots of new wrecks around Yella and that sort of stuff, and Yella's new asteroid field for you to explore. I'll update ways of making money and the quickest way of doing it as soon as the PTU goes to a wider build, and I'll link some other bits and bobs in the description below for you to look at in the meantime. Now, some more slightly technical things, I suppose. Download the latest graphics card drivers. So you want to download the most basic and latest drivers that you can for your graphics cards. I'll put links to the latest GeForce and AMD drivers as of time of recording on the 9th of December. Some of these drivers are actually pretty damn good for Star Citizen and CryEngine games in general. Yeah, these latest ones are pretty good. There's also a couple of ways you can overclock your cards with Clock Blocker for AMD and MSI Afterburner for NVIDIA cards. You're going to have to do a bit of Google research though, going type in Google overclocking and then the name of your graphics card to get some more information about exactly what you can push your graphics card to without exploding. Other drivers for your motherboard, chipset and audio and all that jazz can be found on the appropriate manufacturer's website. There are also programs like Driver Booster that auto-update all of your drivers for those of you that are inclined to do a less manual approach, but that's going to be down to personal preference. I know some people don't like programs like that, but I would always manually install your graphics drivers, the latest ones that you can find. Zenthor's Reshade. So Zenthor made a Reshade pack, and the one for 2.5 is pretty good. I still use it. It improves the vividness of colours and lighting, amongst other things. It's worth considering adding to your Star Citizen experience with that. It's super easy to install. You literally just drag and drop the files into your Star Citizen folder. And for me, I think it looks great. It really improves the vividness and kind of sharpness of it. Image. Yeah, I very much like that. Performance in general. There's a in-depth performance guide that I've written that covers a lot of what I've discussed here so far, but also goes into some other details. Now, for me, you really want to install Star Citizen on an SSD at the very least when you're talking about performance. So if you've got spare space on your SSD drive or on an SSD drive, then do that. Network improvements in general. With Star Marine and Arena Commander especially, you're going to want your ping to be as low as possible. The closer you are to the Star Citizen servers at the moment, the lower your ping is going to be. But that will be changing in the future, obviously, when they get more servers around the globe, or when they do Black Fiber stuff, or whatever they're going to be doing for the Star Citizen servers. Now, there are a few things that you could do to shave off at least a little bit off your ping. I use a program called TCP Optimizer, which has helped me a lot with 2.5 in Arena Commander. Some of you people might also suggest using VPNs to obtain quicker connections, but this is very subjective to your situations, and you'll have to research that kind of on a case-by-case basis. User.cfg, so you can change a load of Star Citizen settings with your user.cfg that you wouldn't be able to change otherwise. It's not recommended to use them in the PTUs, or the public test universe tests, as it were, as they can cause issues and crashes, and then reporting those can like skew the reports because you're using a user.cfg, so I recommend you don't use them, but they are normally super useful with live builds. If you want to use them in PTUs, just minimal changes like turning off motion blur and bloom, all I recommend, but with the live builds, there's loads you can do. You can set your resolution, you can set your max frame rate, you can turn off motion blur, you can set lots of different controls and lots of different stuff in the Star Citizen. There's a fully in-depth guide that I maintain regularly on the Redacted.tv website, which I will be updating for when 2.6 comes live, but a lot of the old settings will obviously still work and you can just pretty much use them out of the box. The recommended one is pretty basic and will turn off like motion blur and that sort of thing. Rec. So you can use rec or rental equipment credits to rent ships and weapons. This isn't going to be wiped between builds. Every time you do this, you'll get 7 one-day tokens to use, which are used every time you basically log into your Arena Commander or Star Marine account or whatever. So playing Arena Commander or Star Marine will earn you rec. At first, grab yourself weapons and ships that will aid you in earning rec, so you'll normally earn them for more points that you get, and you're going to be able to race, PvE fight Vandal and Pirates co-op or whatever, FPS murder people, or PvP dogfight to get some of that delicious rental equipment creditiness. Each time hopefully learning more about combat, and even if you do awfully, you will at least gain some rec. Go to robertspaceindustriescom/electronic-access to spend your rec, and click on the top right of the screen to see how much rec you have left to spend. And it's worth using it, and it's worth using it to try out ships, try out weapons, and then get those builds that allow you to earn more rec. Upgrading your PC. So if people are considering upgrading your PC, I always do it short bursts of upgrading, and then consider upgrading once every like 2 years, just a little bits of money. I love the NVIDIA GTX 1060, just the cheapest model I can find for it. It seems to allow Star Citizen to shine when you're talking about 1080p resolution and like the max settings there. Again, I've done much more in-depth looks at upgrading, which I will link, because it is case-by-case basis, based on your budget, based on exactly what you want from it, and do you want 1440p, do you want 4K, that sort of stuff. And that's kind of really it. 2.6 will be adding a lot for Arena Commander, and obviously adding in Star Marine, making Star Citizen in general more replayable. Please ask questions about upgrades, improvements, fixes, getting stuff to work. Use the comments here as sort of like an FAQ, whether you're asking, answering, or suggesting stuff for others. Commenting also gives you a chance to win an Avenger Titan or an 85X with lifetime insurance, which both are flyable with 2.6 throughout December. So remember, just kind of sharing how you're preparing or any other ideas you have or issues would be super appreciated. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the verse.